November edition of Retail World Report. We're actually going to start this programme in Hungary, looking at some of the developments in the Hungarian industry. Then we're going to look at Czech, and finally look at some ideas in Australia. So welcome to this edition. Of this part of the world, it's getting pretty cold now, so some of the retailing is focused on what's happening in the autumn and winter seasons. But do have a journey with us around the world to look at what's happening in retailing in November. Every country has different retail challenges, and I think we can learn from different situations. So we're in Hungary working with Hungarian retailers at present. Now it's really 20 years since, if you like, independence came from the Soviet Union as far as this country is concerned. But what's happened in those 20 years is a lot of German and English retailers have moved into the marketplace. And for example, in the hardware and garden centre industry, in that period they've taken about 40% of the market. Now it's worth thinking through what's happening and what can we learn from these lessons. The Hungarian retailers have taken a negative view of how to develop their industry and have looked at some of the problems, while the Westerners have come in and been proactive and looked at the opportunities. So it's a process that goes through the mind. If you have a positive, proactive view of the industry, you can gain market share and you can grow your business. A lot of Hungarians that we've talked to have talked about the cost of doing things, and they can't take the changes or make the changes because of the costs. They don't look at the opportunities and the return on the investment. Those proactive retailers in any industry, yes, look at the cost, but look at the return on the investment. Then they say, is this a wise move to develop their business? So Westerners have come into Hungary in retailing and taken a proactive opportunity and looked at the opportunities to grow the market. So they've taken market share from people that have been reactive instead of proactive in the business. So one of the lessons that comes across from the Hungarian market is you have to be proactive. There are always opportunities. Don't look at the cost of doing something and then taking a negative view of it. Look at the opportunities, take a proactive view. It may be it is too expensive to make the change, but go through it step by step. Have some vision and look at the opportunities. There are a few Hungarians out there that are looking at the opportunities, but it's the overseas guys, it's the guys from other countries that have really taken the opportunities in the marketplace. So look at your own business, take a proactive view and look at the opportunities to grow your business. As retailers, we need to look at special days in the calendar and how we can promote events around those special days. And I know we do Christmas and Valentine's Day, but in Hungary they've extended the promotional calendar. For example, on the 1st of November is All Saints' Day. This is huge in this part of the world, and it's huge for retailers, especially the florists, the garden centres and some of the gift industry. This is when families celebrate those that have passed on, and the cemeteries are highly decorated with these types of products. So the wreath industry and the flower industry does exceptionally well. But at the same time, they have name days. Now what they do is all the names in Hungary, they have a special day. So coming up on November the 19th is Elizabeth Day. There'll also be a John Day, a Mary Day, etc. This is a day when people buy presents to celebrate your name day. So the chocolate industry, the flower industry and the gift industry put promotions together for special promotional days. So one thing that we can learn from Hungary is they have lots of promotional days through the calendar. And it's worth looking at the calendar in your part of the world and identifying those more unusual promotional days that you can use as a retailer to gain sales. Then you can put some promotions there. But of course, remember, you've got to promote them. You've got to tell the customer what are the important days in their lives. So one of the messages from Hungary is check the diary. Look at where the promotions are in the diary that you can build around your retail environment. farmers market in Hungary. Now the reason we want to look at this farmers market is to see how they provide different services and services. And I want you to think about the services you provide your consumer. If we take this market, it's not just about fruit, veg, fish and meat. It's around the services also they provide the consumer. And I'm thinking about this in two ways. One is the storeholder. So first of all, the company that manages the market actually provides signs for the storeholders. Also, they employ a photographer, and this photographer will take pictures of the fruit, veg and meat so the storeholder can use that in their marketing. So services have been provided for the storeholders. Now if we look at the consumer's got to look at what services they're looking for as well. So it seems sensible they provide a knife sharpening service. So there's a guy here that just sharpens knives for consumers. So think about your business, think about what you're doing for your customer. Look at what services you can put together to provide the total package for the consumer. Now why would you want to do this? It makes you the destination for the consumer. So consumers in this part of Hungary may be coming to this market just because they need their knife sharpening. So that is the destination reason to come to the market. So the fruit and veg, what was the core product, may become impulse sales for some of the consumers. So take a look at your business, take some lessons from the Hungarian market and look at the services you can provide your consumers. Over the last two editions, we've been looking at retail developments in Hungary, retail developments in Poland. Well, this is the last stop in looking at Eastern retail trends in these couple of editions, and we're in Czech. And in Czech, we've got a historical retail industry. So I'll look at some of the more unusual things that are happening in this part of the world and show you how we can apply the principles to modern day retailing in our own organisations. So welcome to Czech, and let's have a look at some of the things that are happening in this part of the world. The successful retailer knows how to merchandise and display products properly. We're in Czech at one of the leading lifestyle garden centres that's also one of the better florists in this part of the world. And what they know is how to use colour, how to use style. So I want to look at some of the ideas that are being used here in how to maximise sales by looking at clever merchandising and display. There's a number of issues that they use. Let's go and look at some of those ideas. Firstly, one of the secrets is how do you sell glassware, especially large glassware? Well, some people put lemons in the glasses. These people have put balls in the glasses. The important thing is, if you really want to show off the shape and the style of the glassware, put something in there so the eye focuses on the feature. This is one reason that you see those lemons so often in retail stores, is to show the glassware off to the consumer. One of the keys to success is using colour cleverly. Look at what the trends are as far as colours are concerned and shapes. So what we've got here is orange, which is very much a fashionable colour in this part of the world at this time of the year. They've used different shapes. They've used a coloured cloth just to highlight what they think is the colour that should be focused on by the consumer. Now what do good merchandisers do? They often display in threes. Now I know the customer's only going to buy one of the items, but to create that eye-appealing effect, they're put together in threes. So have a look at those clever merchandisers. It's three. One, two, three. One thing we can always learn from a good merchandiser and displayer is how they use lights effectively. And a lot of us don't use lights effectively to draw attention to the product. And it can be as simple as just putting some lights on a reindeer just to create that glitter from that point of view. Look at your lighting and see how you can make it different. We need to look at what goes with what products. So this goes with that type thinking process, helps people buy products. Think of their lifestyle situations and what products you could associate together. And of course the important thing is to try and create that pyramidal or conical effect. So you start with the low materials and you build up to the higher materials and try and keep that triangular shape going in the consumer's eye. colour blocking works, think of how you can use strong colours to focus the consumer's attention. This is a power display at the end of an aisle, and they've used a strong red colour just to draw the eye through the corridor from that point of view. So think about how you're using colour in your store as a means of getting people to walk through the store. So don't just think about the product, think about the consumer. Think about what the fashion colours are in your part of the world. Think about the shape that you're trying to create. Think about the stories that you can put together to help the customer. It's all about providing solutions and ideas. So when you put your stories together, go through that checklist in your mind. Then you can really make a difference to the bottom line. The main shopping area of Prague is Wenceslas Square. Well, in fact, it's not a square, it's an avenue with the major shops from abroad and the Czech shops in there. It's actually designed by King Charles in the 14th century, so it's been around for a few years. And, of course, Czechs are famous for their marionettes. So what you see is a number of the local marionette shops selling these type of ornaments for the tourists. And of course this is mushroom season, and what's happening is that the locals go into the bush harvesting mushrooms. So one of the fashion shops has brought this seasonality into a dress shop. I think it's something we can learn in other parts of the world as well. But there's two stores I really want to concentrate on. One is a company called Manufacturer. Manufacturer display products made by local Czechs. Now, what I like about this store is, first of all, they do some brilliant merchandising and display, but next to the product is a little video. So you have a video of people making the product, and then the product is displayed in front of them. I'm sure this is something a lot of other retailers around the world could adopt in their retail environment. And then the final retailer that impressed me, and you may not call them retailers, but it's the carp retailers. Carp is a traditional meal that's had on December the 24th in Czech. They harvest the carp at the end of October and the beginning of November. The carp is in local pools in the countryside. They drain the lake or the pool, and then they just net in the fish. They put them into buckets, and then they sell these fish to the local villages and local towns. Now, the day I was there, the car park and the parking area was full. This was a big event in town. So two interesting factors that are a bit unusual in Czech. One is manufacturer and the modern tech use of technology, and the other one was a very traditional retailer that hasn't changed for hundreds of years. You can learn something from every part of the world, and I hope this is found interesting in the Prague retail scene. Urban farming. Now, I know we're looking at retailing, and you're probably wondering why I'm going to talk about urban farming. Urban farming is one of the latest trends that is taking place in the marketplace. In Australia, one of the major shopping centres has worked with Stephanie Alexandra to start digging up the palm trees and the tropical plants that were in the shopping centre and recreating them with edible landscapes. I think what we're going to see in our shopping centres is a lot more of the edible landscapes coming through the environment. We're seeing it in the States, we're seeing it in Australia. So I think in 2011 we're going to see some of those more exotic landscapes in shopping centres disappear and be replaced by the edible landscape. So take a look at your local shopping centre and see some of the changes that are going to take place in the next few years. One of the challenges any retailer has is getting credibility and trust across, and we need to look at ideas that can help us do that. Well, I'm with H&H Orchards in Kalamunda at the farmers market, and normally they're in the apple producing industry, but at present it's avocados. So how do they get the credibility across? Simply by using effective ways of putting signage across to say we know our product, we know when it was harvested, and we know when it's ready to eat. So they've done some very, very clever signage. Now, it's simple stuff, but it gets that message across to the consumer. It gives that credibility that's important. finished November back in Australia. Kalamunda Farmers Market, which is our local farmers market. At the end of the month, it's in for the Tourist Awards for the best tourist attraction in Western Australia. And of course, if it wins, we'll let you know. But markets are important to the community. And this is a market that's really grown over the last few months. So I hope you've enjoyed the November edition. Next month, it's going to be the Christmas month, and we're going to be looking at farmers markets and Christmas retailing in Germany and around the world from that point of view. So thanks for joining us in November. Look forward to seeing you next month.